Hey guys, it's Tweedledee here. Welcome to another episode of the Complete Beginner's Guide to League of Legends. In this episode, I'm going to cover the basics of support. I'm not going to go into advanced tactics of supporting, and I'm not going to go into any specific champion or build of supporting. I just want to give you a basic overview so that if you pick a support champion and a support role, that you have a rough idea of what to do. So the first thing I want to mention is, due to the difference in the Season 4 meta, support has become an evolving role. The awesome guys and gals in Riot are basically trying to change support to make it a more appealing role and more fun so that people will want to play it. Whereas previous seasons it was always a frowned upon role and generally people only played it if they got stuck with it. Therefore, now it is possible to play support with traditional guys such as Janna, Leona, Taric, Sona perhaps, and you can also play support with carry supports such as Annie, Morgana, Fiddlesticks or Lux etc. It's very important to follow a guide and have the correct runes and masteries for the champion you wish to play as support. Especially if you're trying to play a carry support, so for instance if you're playing Annie mid all the time, or for instance if you play LeBlanc mid all the time. Don't just bring them bot lane to play as a support and use the exact same build and the exact same guide that you've been using for a mid carry. You have to find a guide for the champion that you wish to play as a support, and the guide must be a support one. Don't just keep using an AP carry guide for it. So just before I go any further on that, I want to just highlight a little bit of information about this game that you're watching. As you can see, I'm playing Annie support and my AD carry is Caitlyn. So Caitlyn is an unranked player. This is her 4th ranked game ever. We're playing ranked 5v5 in this. The Vayne is Platinum 3 I believe, so we tried to play very passive in this. Literally because the AD carry on my side has low experience in ranked play and the try-hard competitiveness of it. So therefore you will see us play very passive throughout this game. Nonetheless, all the information in this guide is still relevant to this particular game, and it's probably a good game to highlight just because we were on the back foot for most of it. It just shows you not to panic and play sensible and what can come from it. We did lose the game in the end, but that's irrelevant for the purpose of this guide. So let's crack on. So your role as the support. You need to babysit your AD carry pretty much as you would with a real life baby. So the AD carry is basically extremely squishy but they do a lot of damage and they need to be babysit. So they're extremely delicate and they need your protection throughout the entire laning phase and generally into the very end of the game. You also need to provide vision, so both during the laning phase and after laning phase, you need to provide vision. You also need to ward the river, constantly ward river. If the enemy wards the river, you try to clear that ward, but river has to be warded constantly. Try to clear out the enemy dragon wards when safe to do so using your red trinket. So once you have your red trinket and it's safe to go venture for the dragon ward that the enemy has placed there, you can go and take that one out. Notice in this game, I never ever hit the minions. You never ever hit the minions. Let your AD carry be the one that farms and only they should farm. If your AD carry is dead or if your AD carry has recalled, then you can last hit minions only. I don't mean stand there auto-attacking the minions. Literally, as it's about to die, you last hit the dying minion and take the gold from that. But other than that, you never ever ever hit the minions. Only the AD carry hits minions. So do not take free enemy damage in lane. So don't allow the enemy to harass you constantly. Don't get in a bad position where they're constantly taking your health down. Every time you lose health, you should be dealing damage too. So it's not wasted. You're always trading damage. You're never actually giving them free hits on you. Be very aware of that in your positioning. Look at that ward. I mean, come on, seriously. I thought it would blend into the bush, but clearly it doesn't. There's one for the next time. So use defensive masteries to help you with sustain and durability in the lane. On the guide that you're using, use the masteries that are on it. It will help you. Don't focus the support. So don't just sit there focusing the support constantly. The damage dealer is the AD carry and that's the one you want to be harassing. That's the one you want to try and zone off the farm. Having said that, sometimes a really good AD carry is just hard to get near in order to create that damage and that harassment on them. So therefore you can poke the support a little bit, but keep it as poke and harassment only. Don't constantly focus them, and as soon as a fight breaks out, do not focus the support, be sure to focus the carry or the one that's going to do the damage. So that was just a pure example there of not having the river bush warded. We got ganked by Shyvana, and the only way we could survive that gank was for the two of us to blow our flashes. Now, perhaps I could have saved my flashes, Annie, but I just wasn't going to chance it, and I wanted to keep health so that I didn't have to recall from lane. I wanted to stay in lane. So back to our next point. So if the enemy initiates on your AD carry, you should immediately turn on their AD carry. You use your exhaust on them instantly. Don't use it on the support. The support is going to be in your face. There's a reason they're there, but the damage is not there for them. The damage is going to come from the AD carry. So if the enemy attacks your carry, you instantly attack, stun, exhaust their AD carry. That's the way it works. Do not use your exhaust and your abilities on the support. Be sure to use them on the carry. You should also try to time the enemy abilities. So if the enemy has just used their ultimate, try and keep a mental note of when the ultimate's going to be up next. If an enemy has used a flash, a barrier, an exhaust, or an ignite, be sure to try and keep a mental note of when them spells are going to be back up. The same mental note should go for like Drake or neutral monsters. If you need to, type it in chat the next time that it's going to be up, just the number of the time. So moving on to what to do in lane. So don't just stand in the lane, literally do nothing and have the AD carry do all the work. You need to have presence. You need to be aware of what's going on there. You don't farm, but you need to harass, poke and try to zone the enemy AD carry off the farm. You need to do this safely. You don't want to be giving away free damage. Remember, if you want to trade for damage, that's not as bad, but ideally you want to come out of every trade on top. So just a note on this video, keep an eye on what I've been doing in this video. I'm constantly trying to have presence, at the same time I'm trying to be passive. So I'm trying not to give them too much damage, but yet I'm there in lane. I don't just sit in the bush AFK or standing still. I'm constantly on my feet. I didn't ward as much as I normally would have at this stage of the game. Because remember the Vayne was plat 3 and my AD carry was unranked, we had already decided that we were going to play really passive and try and see the laning phase out and work with ganks to get kills. But unfortunately our jungler was AFK for the first 5 minutes or so, and that really screwed our plans. But all we could do from there on was try and play passive and try to win lane, or at least try not to feed and win lane if possible. You will also notice that the Thresh has done a great job. He's got great presence in lane, we're constantly aware of where he is, we're constantly having to ward and be weary of him. Same with Vayne, they've got the advantage on us the entire time, but you can see that the support's not just standing there, he is creating this presence that is really harming us and making us have to play very passively. If they showed weakness at all, of course we would have played more aggressive, but quite simply they didn't. So moving on from there, so what you want to try to do is get the AD carry off their farm. Try to make them lose last hits. When the enemy goes for last hits, if you can't make them miss it, at least try and get an auto attack on it so they're not getting free farm. Every time they go to farm, at least they're losing a little bit of health. Again, a quick highlight on the game that we're looking at. I didn't do a great job of that on Vayne because she had very good positioning and the Thresh had great presence. She was very hard to zone and harass. So you need to ward bottom river. You got to keep that warded all the time. You need to ward dragon. You need to ward that as much as you can when it's safe to do so. You also need to clear enemy wards from bottom river constantly, and you got to clear enemy wards from dragon constantly, only when it's safe to do so, and of course when you have your trinket. As the support, you also have to be very aware of enemy wards. So basically, if this Thresh had walked up the river slightly, gone a little bit out of our vision, and then came back in 2 seconds later, I will know then that he's warded dragon or thereabouts, or maybe he's warded the tri-bush or thereabouts. So I should then type to my jungler, or if I have him on TeamSpeak, tell my jungler that dragon is warded or tri-bush is warded, so at least I'm relaying that information. Now when our jungler wants to gank, he might say to me, is there wards bot? And I would say, yeah, it's warded in the tri-bush, yeah, it's warded at dragon. There's very few things more frustrating for a jungler than when the support hasn't a clue what is going on bot lane, hasn't a clue about any of the warding that's gone on, and that can absolutely screw games and screw the laning phase for bot lane. So be aware of when the enemy wards and relay that information constantly. At least now if you do this, your jungler knows if he wants to gank that the river or the dragon or the tri-bush is warded, and what he or she needs to do is take a different route in order to get a successful gank. A common mistake that a lot of supports make is that they die a lot. You know, you don't want to feed the enemy, it's not worth your death, especially if you die to the AD carry, or even if the AD carry gets an assist on it. So in priority, a death to the AD carry is extremely bad. A death to the jungle is not as bad as AD carry, but it's still bad. A death to the support champion is a little bit less, but it's still bad. So basically dying is bad. You don't want to die, you don't want to feed, so don't die senselessly. So when an all-in fight breaks out, the AD carry is the ultimate priority. You've got to instantly attack the AD carry and start using all your spells on them. If you've got an ignite, use your ignite. If you've got an exhaust, use your exhaust. See how if I've ignited the Vayne, we've attacked him, but look how Thresh has exhausted or AD carry Caitlyn. It just wasn't enough. I ended up taking the kill on Vayne, which is okay. It was a lot better than letting my AD carry die. So at least I took the kill. I didn't mean to, I didn't want to, but in order to secure that kill and keep my AD carry alive, I had to do it. So it's okay to take the kills if your AD carry is in danger. Just don't go out your way to try and get kills and make yourself fed. That's the complete wrong attitude. Just a little comment on this video actually is I probably could have killed that Thresh too if I had a Q on him instead of walking away. But I just guess I panicked or that in game. It's a lot easier when you're looking back at a video to see the mistakes that you've made, of course. So moving on to the must-have items. Regardless of what support champion you're playing, you must buy a Sightstone. Now it's up to you if you want to upgrade it to a Ruby Sightstone or not. You can do this if you want to. It costs extra money, but it also gives you extra health. This is completely optional, but you have to buy the Sightstone part of it anyway, and rush it pretty quickly. It is useful to have a red trinket to clear enemy wards. It complements your Sightstone. So once you've got a Sightstone, you don't want that yellow ward, you don't want an extra ward, because you've got enough. So get rid of the yellow one and get the red trinket instead. Therefore, you're able to go around the map and clear out wards. At the same time, you're able to use your Sightstone to place wards. After those two items are bought, just follow the guide you are using. So just follow your guide. The guides will not put you wrong, so be sure to find one for any support champion that you wish to play and follow the guide until such a time that you want to tweak it slightly for your own style of play. Therefore it will complement you even further. Notice on the video now, this is my first time placing and clearing wards at Dragon. It's like 13 minutes in and this is the first opportunity that I've got to do this. But just goes to show you, maybe the jungler should have picked up the slack here, but he didn't. Obviously they've come across my pink ward straight away and they've broken it, but not to worry. So onto the summary. Follow a guide for your build. So don't just randomly make a build and don't use an AP carry build. Be sure to use a specific guide for the support champion you wish to play and follow it. Be sure to buy a Sightstone. The earlier the better. You have to ward. It's your job. You have to get a Sightstone. So buy one, the earlier the better, and start warding. Ward as much as you can. Keep river warded. So keep river warded constantly when you're in laning phase, and even after laning phase, keep it warded. Destroy enemy wards with your red trinket. That's a no-brainer. As they place them, you need to remove them and place your own wards. Relay relevant information to your jungler and team. So regarding wards, objectives, spells, etc. Make sure the information is out there. It's your job for that. Protect your AD carry. Keep them alive. Remember your AD carry is very squishy, deals a lot of damage. They need you to keep them alive. Don't focus the enemy support. Don't ever hit the minions unless your AD carry is dead or recalling. Don't take free damage. Don't die senselessly. Try to harass the enemies as much as possible while using good positioning. In fights and skirmishes in lane, be sure to use your exhaust and your abilities and your spells on the AD carry, not on the support. After laning phase, keep the warding up. Vision wins games, remember this. Protect your AD carry the entire game. The rest of the game after laning phase really depends on what champion you are playing as support. Use your guide as reference as to how to play a late game, or simply ask me here about a specific champion and I will try to reply to you as soon as possible about how to play that champion late game as support. So that's it for this episode of the Complete Beginner's Guide to League of Legends. I hope to have helped you in some way, shape or form. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and if you would like to keep in touch with me for future releases, please hit subscribe. All the best for now, bye bye.